Welcome to the Meeple Mythos podcast. I'm Nick, and I'm so excited to get back to this. It's been a full week. Thought about this all week, not because I like talking to myself in front of a camera, but because I like talking about board games. And today we're going to follow a similar path that we did last time, cover a little bit of news. We'll talk about some deep dives in some games I covered, maybe what's coming in the mail, maybe what's on the hotness. Still exploring some fun little niche options for this podcast. But if you're listening, chime in. Let me know what you want to hear and what you don't want to hear. All things are helpful. But first things first, Gen Con was this past weekend. And if you're not familiar, it's a huge convention, the biggest in the US for board games. And the Instagram and TikTok world has been bombarded with Gen Con hauls, and it has made me so jealous. But I'm also very happy for everyone because that's really cool. Come back with a bunch of games like that. So it apparently rained so heavily that it started to leak in the roof, but they didn't cancel anything. Everything just kept running. I think I saw some videos where they just kind of put, trash cans, buckets, whatever you want to call it, out onto the floor to catch as much water as possible. That's a wild thing to be in an indoor area, it raining, and you kind of being like, wow, I mean, we're playing board games. We're going to play board games. Like, what could be the worst thing? And then it starts raining on top of you. So pretty crazy stuff. And also big news, at least in my neck of the world, neck of the woods when it comes to board games, is that David Turczi, one of my favorite designers, is making the solo mode for both the King's Gambit, Lord of the Rings, which is a remake of the Star Wars Queen's Gambit, and the Dominant Species. All plays coming out with a new edition, and the cover looks awesome. I don't know if you ever played Dominant Species, but Dominant Species is a programming game where you place your markers on certain actions that you want to take, and then you go in order of those actions. And the whole idea is an area control game, but in the original you had these like cones and cubes. Like it feels very old school that way, but it was a very fun game. The one time I played it at 4 players. It was a very long game, about 5 hours, but I've always wanted to play it again. Now, don't get confused, because there's also Dominant Species Marine, and that's like the spiritual sequel to this. It's similar. It's very similar, but it's got, updated artwork. If I can remember, the action selection is a little bit different. It's almost like the Dice Tower calls it like a ratchet system, if I remember correctly, where once you go down past a certain point, you can't go back up until like the end of the round or something like that. It's very cool because you want to take some of these stronger actions, but you don't want to go too far too quickly. So I'm really excited for that one. I've always wanted to play more Dominant Species, but I don't have it. It's hard to get to the table because it is area control and it's a long game. But also the King's Gambit looks really fascinating. I thought I missed the Kickstarter for this, but apparently it hasn't come up yet. So I'm very interested. And what's really cool is that apparently David Turczi asked to be on these 2 games. And as you guys will listen to my podcasts and or watch my videos, you'll come to find that David Turczi is just under Vital Lacerda as my favorite designer. I really like all his T1 Tensuyu. T1 Tensuyu. A lot of people, that one falls under the radar, but that one's a fun one. Voidfall, of course, I know that's kind of co-designed. But he has Anachrony, he has such great designs. And not only that, but his solo modes are very robust, incredibly robust. Sometimes too much. Like Nucleum. I think Nucleum's solo mode that he created is very overbearing and overwhelming, to the point where after I learned it and tried playing it a couple turns, I was like, this is too much. The game wasn't worth it for me. And I love Nucleum, but I also get it to the table enough that I don't need to play it solo to get the joy out of it. But the King's Gambit, going back to that, it looks crazy. It looks like this huge 3-dimensional You've got Minas Tirith as like the main base, with people inside of it. And if you look at BGG and you look at the entries for it, I mean, it looks like this huge, massive, sprawling game. I'm really curious. I don't know if it's a game that I'm going to buy, just because it's a lot. It looks like a lot, and it looks like one of those games that I may buy and never play. And so I'm a little worried about that. But if there is a solo mode, I mean, that might be it right there. That might be the nail in the coffin for me. Because it's already the nail in the coffin for me for dominant species. So very excited about that. So that was David Turchi's little thing. I want to kind of go into a rant a little bit at this part in the podcast, and that is my rant on Dune Imperium. I love Dune Imperium. I've loved it since it came out. When it first came out, I was really excited for the movie. I like deck building a lot, and so when it came to retail, I pretty much immediately snatched it up. It was also coming out at the same time as Endless Winter and Lost Ruins of Arnak, and they were being really heavily compared to each other. So I actually ended up getting all three of them, and only one of them left my collection, which was Endless Winter. And that's a whole nother situation. But Dune Imperium is awesome. Now, rant. I am really not a fan of how they are creating content for this game, because the base game, Dune Imperium, comes out, and not much longer after that is this like better version, which left a really sour taste in my mouth, because it really made me feel like, well, now I have to buy another game. But it also didn't feel different enough to warrant to have to buy a whole nother game. But I can also see it from their side, where it's basically a new board and some extra rules, so why print that out? But we have lots of games with new boards that come out as expansions. So I don't know. It's one of those things that makes me go, ah. But now they've got the Dune Imperium Conspiracy expansion. And again, it's another expansion that's supposed to be cross-compatible for both Dune Imperium and Dune Uprising. And it's now gotten to the point where there are way too many expansions for this game. You had Rise of Ix, which was awesome. That really elevated Dune Imperium a lot. And I think that alone fixed a lot of issues that people had with it, especially in the later stages of the game. There's an area where you can trade, I think it's spice for money. But eventually at the end of the game, you have no use for credits, or whatever they call it, Solari. And it just kind of went to waste. So there was a new way of utilizing that area. So it was nice. It was great. Then Rise of Immortality, or Rise of Ix, and then Immortality. I really personally liked Immortality a lot, because I really liked the kind of research track, and I really enjoyed the new cards. People kind of hit and miss with that. And then Dune Uprising comes out, and then everyone's like, wow, that's the better game. And I'm like, so do I just toss my copy or sell it? You know? Then you have the Bloodlines one, which then apparently fixed issues in Uprising. And here's my take on this. Don't release a game unless you're ready to release it. If you have to come out with expansion on expansion to quote unquote fix things, then I don't think it was ready to be released. And so now there's another expansion that's coming out. I haven't really looked into this one, because I'm almost at a point with this kind of, with Dune Imperium games, that I'm like, I don't even know, like, I don't even know anymore. I don't even know what to do about it anymore. So I'm keeping my Dune Imperium copy, but it doesn't seem like anybody wants to play that one anymore. So everyone wants to play Uprising. So I'm like, I guess I sell mine. I don't know. But that's my little rant. Don't release a game unless you're ready to release it, because then it just feels like money grabbing. So that's Dune Imperium. I had to get that off my chest after I kept seeing the new expansion, number 1 on the hotness. Next thing, hell of a deal. This came out a couple months ago, or it didn't come out in retail, but it came out as an announcement for Gen Con a few months ago. And It's like a cooperative poker game, very much in vein with the Gang, if you've ever played that one. In the Gang, you are a cooperative team making heists, and you are trying to get everyone to rank their hand in the correct order. So if by the end of the hand, someone has the highest hand and they have the poker chip that says that they would have the highest hand and everything works in order, then you've passed. And if you pass, I think 3 times, then you win the game. It's very fun. I love the Gang. So Hell of a Deal is kind of like that, where you're playing against the devil. It looks like you've got some special powers. They definitely took some beats from Balatro for sure. And it looks really cool. It looks really cool. My whole thing about this is that it came out or it's coming out, and there's a new game coming out called Deco. Now, Deco is a competitive poker game, so they can coexist. Very Balatro-like. In fact, I mean, a lot of the theming in the Kickstarter for Deco was very Balatro-like. You had extra packs that were unlocked for jokers, right? And like the jokers work the way that they do in Balatro. You got to get rid of cards if you needed to. You know, you can thin your deck out to create different kinds of combos. I'm very excited for Deco, but now Hell of a Deal is coming out, and now I kind of want both, but I'm not going to play both. Somehow Hell of a Deal is working at 2 players. I think Deco is only 3 to 5 players. So I'm really curious how Hell of a Deal is going to play out. I'm excited for it. I hope it comes to retail sooner rather than later. With that also being said, I'm again, I have to be picky about these games. I'm generally playing solo or 2 players. So, interested though, very interested in this one. Kind of going down the line of some of these hotness games. We've still got Drillers up here. I've been contacting all my local game stores asking for whether or not they've got copies in. Still don't have copies in. So I'm starting to get real sad here. It sounds really fun. I've heard, the small comments about, who it's for, who it's not, the minor gripes, but I mean, at the end of the day, it's a deck builder, and I'm very excited. And it's also from CGE, and CGE doesn't make, or doesn't at least publish, very many bad games. This might not be everyone's cup of tea, but just like Covenant, I think last year was kind of hit and miss, and with a lot of people. I've played it, and I think it's a lot of fun. I really like Covenant, but Drillers is definitely there. I'm very excited for this one. And then we have Wingspan Pocket. I actually finally got both Wingspan Pocket as well as Duel of Melloc in the mail last Sunday, and so I finally got to crack them open, play it. In fact, I've got my very own Scythe board sitting right here on the table. I had just played it twice now solo, playing as the Scythe player against the Expeditions Automa. And jury's still out in the solo mode. I'm going to be honest with you, so I'm not going to give like this is not a review or anything like that. I'm very curious in playing it more because I love both Scythe and Expeditions. I think I really enjoy playing both of them. Scythe, for me, is much higher ranked, and I will, if someone gives me the choice, I'll play Scythe over Expeditions. But I thought both of them were great games. This allows me to kind of play either one in a much shorter time frame without grabbing a giant box out. Both of the boxes are really huge. In fact, you can see I have the legendary Scythe box over here. To crack that out and like set it up for a solo game, that's an overwhelming procedure. And so I just don't do it very often. In fact, I don't think I've broken out Scythe for a solo game since I've probably gotten it. But I play it enough, again, multiplayer, that I don't feel like I need to play solo. But this so far is giving me a nice feeling of being able to play the game in a much shorter time frame. So I'm excited to try that. I'm going to try it a couple more times solo as the Scythe player, and then I'll flip the script and try it a couple times as the Expeditions player. Hopefully I can get some plays of this 2-player and maybe do a review of it and a solo playthrough. So maybe I'll do 2 solo playthroughs. One is Expeditions and one is Scythe. We'll see. Who knows? Maybe if you guys have any thoughts on that, you can let me know. But yeah, I'm not going to say anything about whether or not I enjoy the Automa, the game, or anything like that, because I just haven't played it enough yet. 2 times is not enough to get a feel for it. Wingspan Pocket. Played it once solo. I think I might, after this, tear down Duel of Melloc, set that one up again and play it. Interesting. Again, jury's still out because I haven't played it enough, but I'm curious. In fact, I'm really excited actually to play it more multiplayer. I really enjoy Wingspan. It was one of the few games that I was following when it was coming out, way back when I first started games. I had been playing games at that point for a little bit, but it was like the first one I was really excited about, and waiting for someone to get a copy so I could try it and so on, and played a ton of it, just an absolute ton of it. And just, I don't know, the love for it, or the appeal never was lost for me. I think a lot of people, it's fallen off for them, and I understand that. I mean, there's a ton of expansions, and it's a game that, depending on player count, can be really long. I have played this, I think 4 players. It might have been a 5-player game, and it has taken 3 hours. That's a long time for a game of Wingspan. But Wingspan Pocket seems like a nice, like, I really want to play Wingspan, but I don't want to break out the nesting box. And this actually brings me to another point I wanted to make, which is how I feel about big box games. There's nothing more exciting than seeing on the shelf and or putting away a massive game. Anachrony is right behind me. Massive box. You have Scythe, massive box. Voidfall, massive box. Elder Scrolls, it's a big box, but not quite as big as like Anachrony. And Agricola, the Awakened Realms version, apparently is just an absolute monster of a box. And I love it. But it definitely tapers my ability and desire to want to play that game. For instance, when I got the Wingspan nesting box, I was really excited because at the point I had a bunch of boxes kind of not scattered around, but I had a bunch of boxes of Wingspan with cards all over and the different boxes and having to combine them. So I was really excited to be able to get this all-in-one encompassing thing. Well, when it came, I don't know if you guys have seen the Wingspan nesting box. It's massive. It actually is so big it won't fit on my Calyx shelving into one of the boxes here. So it's up at the top over here because I had nowhere else to put it. Again, now it's a game that I'm just like, this is a lot. It's so much. And there's so many expansions with these little twists and turns now that sometimes I forget which ones are which and whether or not I need to remove cards. I don't think you do, but I'm just like, sometimes now it's a lot to pull it out and play a game of Wingspan. So I'm really excited to keep exploring Wingspan Pocket. So I'm actually really glad that they did something small like this. We'll see if they come out with more content. I mean, they are really milking the whole Wingspan thing out. I don't mind. People get on them about that. I think it's great. I love Wormspan, probably more than Wingspan. And I've played a bunch of Finspan, and Finspan I don't own, but is also a lot of fun. I think they're great. I think they're great games. Finspan is one that, like, I have played at a bunch of game days when we're like, well, what do you want to play? I don't know, what do you want? Well, I have Finspan. All right, let's play Finspan. And you set it up and you play, and it doesn't take too long. It doesn't overstay its welcome. It's great. So I am excited about those aspects. A lot of people have been playing Entropy and getting videos out on YouTube for Entropy. I backed out of the campaign for it. Honestly, just because Board Game and Dice, they tend to come to retail anyways. So I just thought I would wait for it. It sounds very cool. I'm very excited about it. It's doing really well right now. It's got a 7.7 on BGG, which is high. I mean, I know people, I think people are getting a lot more, critical about which games, and especially if you have a collection and you're trying to pare it down, or at least not overwhelm your household with a ton of board games, then yeah, you tend to be a little bit pickier, and you tend to be like, well, maybe I'm only going to go for 7.5s or higher. 7.7 is great, and it's best at 1 to 3, people. It's best at 1 to 3, which means it's a great solo game. So Again, that's only like 200 ratings, but I'm very excited about this. So hopefully, I'm waiting for local game stores to get, this and some of these other Gen Con ones. The store over by me tends to get some of these games October, November. So that might be my next big thing. But coming in the mail on Monday is going to be Ostia, the Mariner edition from Crafty Games, I believe it is. They somehow got the rights to do a US version of Ostia, which is an Uchibukoya game. And I'm very excited because I missed out on Ostia, I think twice. And both times I kind of kicked myself in the butt for it, because the first time I just kind of, it was like a new game from someone, so I wasn't sure about it. Then everyone liked it. I knew everyone liked it. Then the new Kickstarter came for, I think, the Pirates expansion. Still didn't back it. And now I'm like, so I'm getting it. But I'm a little peeved about this one, because when I was pre-ordering it from Crafty Games, they were mentioning how they were changing some of the iconography and it wouldn't work with, I think, one of the expansions or the player boards or something. Like, there's some things that won't work with the version you would get from Uchibukoya. And at the time, Uchibukoya was doing their Aqua Garden Aqua Garden Trilogy Kickstarter, and you could not get Ostia from that one. But now they're doing Rosalie, and you can get Ostia from that one with the double layered player boards, with everything. So I'm like, if I had known that, I might have waited on it, just because I want the double layered player boards and I want all of those original things, just because I'm weird like that. But I'm also still waiting on Sweetlands from their Aqua Garden Trilogy campaign. So it's been a while, and so I'm just waiting on that one. And again, Sweetlands, another one that I missed out on. But Ostia is coming. I'm very excited about it. Regardless of whether it's from Uchibukoya themselves or himself, or it's from Crafty Games. Excited no matter what. So, keeping on with the theme of Japanese games, I got Eternal Sevens last Friday. And I not only got to learn it, but then the next day I got to play with two of my really good friends who love Eternal decks. We love Eternal decks. We think it's very fun. If I got to play it more, who knows? When I do my rankings again at the end of this year, we may see Eternal decks somewhere way up in the upper echelons of the top 20, maybe top 10. Eternal Sevens, again, not reviewing it right now because I have not played this. Now, a game like Wingspan Pocket, a game like Duel of Melloc, or even some of the games that I've recently reviewed like Falling and or Revenant, I'll play anywhere from 5 to 10 times before I review it. And that's enough usually for me to kind of get an idea of like, yeah, okay, I can see whether I like this, where the mechanisms are, where the depth is. Eternal Sevens, I've played it a couple times with people, but I've played it a lot because I'm helping test the solo online version from BGG forums. The amount of depth and strategy in this game is so enormous. I think it's the highest depth and strategy game I think I've ever played. It's so nuanced that it's almost overwhelming. I really like it. I really like Eternal Sevens. I want to play more of it because I'm so curious about how to learn how to pass properly, to mess someone up so that way, they can't play a card, so now they possibly get eliminated. I want to play more of the pro mode because the way that he did it was it's kind of split into two, casual and expert, and both the casual and expert are then split into two, so there's like 4 gaming modes, where the real thing that he wants people to play is the pro mode. But he also recognized, I was reading his design diary, that it's kind of twofold. It's, he has a casual version for more of this like emotional play. You get what I'm saying, where it's like, you don't want to think too hard, but you want to play a game and just kind of have fun with some friends. That's the casual mode, right? And I played it. It is great like that. And then there's the gamer mode where you're really sitting there trying to figure out, do I pass now so I can discard a card, which means this line can't be filled? It's great. And it's all based off of this game called Sevens, which again, I had never heard about before. And now I'm so curious. I want to play different versions of it just to kind of have some comparing to do. I'm excited. And I'm trying to get some people together so we can play it just a ton, like over and over and over again. And there's not a game that I'm usually like that about. Mostly because a game like, for instance, Ark Nova, when it came out, I wanted to play it a ton, but I wasn't necessarily going to play it more than once a day because it's a long game. Eternal Sevens is, if you're playing on the pro or expert mode, maybe it's 30 minutes and maybe 40, right? If things are really going slow, that's not that long. And so you can do game after game after game after game. And so I'm really excited to see where this goes. And eventually I'm hoping that I can get enough plays in to feel confident and comfortable enough to give a review. Because this is one of those games that 5 or 10 plays is not going to be enough for me to review it yet. And I know that because I think I've played maybe 20 games of the online solo option that I, am really realizing like, wow, there's a lot in this game. There's a lot to decipher and a lot to really think about. And so and it's also a social game. It's meant for real in-person. It's meant for people. So playing it online is a very different experience. So that's why I definitely want to play it 20 times in person, right? So that's kind of the goal. But I'm very excited about this game. I think it's got a lot of potential. Again, the amount of depth and strategy is, again, overwhelming. But it's really cool. Like, it's really, really cool. Moving on. I posted 2 reviews recently, and there's another one coming out on Monday for Unstoppable. So if you haven't checked out my how to play or playthrough of Unstoppable and you're interested, go check that out. But I'm going to be doing a review, and it's posting on Monday. And while I'm not going to talk about the review there, I am going to talk about Falling a little bit because I didn't get to talk about that as much on the last time. And solo mode for Falling is fine. I gave it a 6.0 out of 10, which is good. Again, my rating scale has shifted a bit where, for instance, we're talking about entropy is a 7.7. That's really good. To me, that might be closer to a 6 on my scale. So I think that Falling as a solo game is good, but I don't necessarily think it's going to be something that people pull out constantly to play. After I played on easy, medium, and hard a couple times, it just kind of felt like I was doing the same thing. It was interesting. The game follows this flow of you place these machines out. Once you place these machines out, depending on whether you're placing them on levels 1 and 2 or higher, they will either come off immediately and give you those bonuses, or they stay on a little bit longer and they provide you some income, but they eventually fall off. It's a really cool mechanic, and I really like it, but I can't help but feel like it's a really very much a multiplayer game. I am excited to play it multiplayer, but I don't know if I'm going to play it solo again because it's just eventually it just kind of felt very samey. The bot really limits what you can do. You only get 4, 5, or 6 turns as the game progresses, or less if you're playing hard. And it's just kind of limiting. It's almost too limiting, but it makes sense for a solo mode because there's not much else you can really do. And it doesn't really do anything. It blocks some spaces, and that's it. So it's really easy to run. Like, it's incredibly easy to learn. But that's all it really does. And so it's not one of those games that I'm really excited to bring out to the table for solo mode as compared to even Wingspan Pocket, because Wingspan Pocket is a fraction of the time and got a cool engine building aspect that you can kind of try again. So I'm kind of using this as an opportunity to kind of do a deeper dive on my review or reviews as I come out with this, because my reviews are meant to be really short, so that way you can go check them out. It's 5 to 7 minutes, depending on whether or not I'm covering all the metrics, or if I don't have to cover, a solo bot AIEs kind of thing. And it's meant to be just quick beats, so you can get an idea of whether or not you like it. But I want to use this opportunity to be like, this game is good. I think that if you're interested in it for more than solo, I think you should pick it up. In fact, the Dice Tower seemed to have loved it. I think Chrissy, rated it like a 9. I think Tom Vassell did an 8. I mean, those are pretty high scores. Again, I think that a lot of reviewers have much, inflated scores just in general. So most games are 8s, 9s, and 10s. And I don't know what I would rate it solo because I haven't, or multiplayer because I haven't played it multiplayer. But if you're interested in a unique take on income as well as bonuses, and you've played Gaia Project or Terra Mystica style games, find someone who has the copy or purchase it when it's on sale. I think it's very much worth a look at for multiplayer purposes. Other than that, if you're looking at it for solo, okay, that's fine, but just keep in mind that you may not get a whole lot of play out of it. Now, Revenant, on the other hand, go pick it up. It's great multiplayer. It's a great solo. I still, I've been kind of trying to get a handle on being an influencer in the board game sphere and trying to figure out what news to talk about and what to do on the podcast and what games to cover and what games to play and playing the games. And then I haven't gotten to revisit Revenant again. And I miss it. I really want to play it again. But until I get through my backlog of games, because I'm starting to get games and they're still in shrink. And I've never had that happen to me before, which I guess is a good thing. To some people, maybe not to everyone. So I'm slowly making my way through all this stuff. But Revenant was so much fun. And Mind Clash Games, if you hear this, you guys did a fantastic job on this game, and I'm so excited to keep exploring it, just like I've explored Voidfall a ton. So I think with that, we're going to go ahead and call it a week on this podcast. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this. Lots of rants, lots of just kind of mumbling and talking. But you know what? I'm learning. I'm trying to figure out what works, what doesn't work. But if you enjoyed it, please leave a like, subscribe, follow, download, again, whatever it is that happens on these podcasts. And I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. Relax, play some games, chill out, get ready for the next week. And until next time, keep your myths legendary. I'm Nick, and thanks for listening.